Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Gargoyles Episode Reviews. Today we're looking at Avalon Part 2. Who says you can't go back in time and save someone's life? You can if it is meant to be in the time stream. You can even save your own life. The Archmage pitched off a cliff in 984 AD, but thanks to magic and covering himself adequately regarding the time stream's laws, he's back and more powerful than ever in 1995. This episode is a mind-bender. It's also the setup for how and why the Archmage is terrorizing Avalon's residents, Katherine, Magus, and 36 gargoyles. The mage wants ultimate power and revenge, and he won't stop until he gets them. Spoilers of the 2020 moments, info from Ask Greg is in the According to Greg bits. Season 2, Episode 22, Avalon, Part 2. Reasons for existence. To move on to the Tier 4 of the series, to introduce the new Archmage and his story, to meet the eggs, to start the Avalon World Tour, to bring Macbeth and Demona into play, to explain the Weird Sisters' involvement, to introduce Angela, to introduce the Sleeping King. Main antagonists, the Archmage, Weird Sisters, Macbeth, and Demona. Times, December 28th, 1995, unknown month, 984, September 28th, 995, and don't know the month, 1020. Locations, cave near Castle Wyvern, Edinburgh, Scotland. Other locations in Scotland, and Avalon. Here we open on the beach. Part 2. Is that a beacon to summon aid? There's like a little tower thing there. And then there's something on fire in the back, or smoking anyway. Previously on Gargoyles. A recap of last step, which we have seen the Archmage in, and he's diving over a cliff. Elisa, Goliath, Bronx, and Tom meet two gargoyles and a garg beast on the shores of Avalon. One of the newcomers is female. She's the same coloring as Goliath. Her name is Angela. Her companion is Gabriel. Their dog beast is Boudica. She and Bronx hit it off. The other dog, not Angela. Angela is fangirling. She's heard so much about him, she says. Goliath, that is. And there's Gabriel. He's a good-looking gargoyle. Maybe looks like a little bit of Cold Stone going on in there with the horns. Gabriel is happy for her. I wonder what he's heard about Goliath. Goliath is shocked that they have names. So do you, Goliath, and your whole clan, but okay. Angela, however, thinks nothing of it. How else could we tell each other apart? She says it's the argument Elisa used on the clan and way back in Awakening, and Brooklyn said, we look different. That's not what she meant. So just as with human culture, most of the customs are learned for gargoyles. It's interesting to see how Gargoyle, who's raised by humans, acts. She looks familiar. They head toward the castle in the distance, but the sand has other ideas. Rather, the sand sculpture of the Archmage that's now threatening them. And then the beach starts attacking them with Entangle. No, I'm not kidding. There's the sculpture, there's something, a hand or something that comes out of the middle of it in a certain area. Animators, thank you for taking care with the placement of the sand arm. Could have made it a little less strange. Anyway, Elisa shoots it, but of course that doesn't help. The sand mage says he gave Tom time to prepare for death, but Tom wasted it on getting help. Well, duh. What do you think he's going to do? The sand consumes Tom. Long fight short, the Gargs and humans beat up a beach, as the Archmage points out when he is done fighting. I like this new Archmage. He's a sarcastic one. He says he'll destroy them in the morning. Why not now? You were doing a good job. Just use rocks instead of sand next time. As they head to the castle, and it's a very European, not even English or Scottish, but European-looking castle. Who built that? That's what I say. I really want to know the history of Avalon more. Anyway, as they go to the castle, Elisa points out that Angela looks like Demona. I guess she does, in that she's female and her face is very human. No beak. Elisa wonders whose kid she is. Goliath evades, saying hatchlings belong to the whole clan. Do I sense some foreshadowing? Some hinting? If she is Demona's kid, it's a nice play on names. Demona, like demon, and Angela, like angel. And, with the dogs there, so if Boudica came from the eggs, which obviously she did, that means that she's as much of a gargoyle as Angela is then. And how do they even end up with dogs? Do dogs have to breed with each other, or is it some sort of genetic issue that creates them. Where if they didn't have that genetic issue, they would have been like a regular gargoyle. I'm sure Greg has explained it somewhere, but I don't remember coming across it. And there they are, Angela and Boudica. At the castle, they run into many more gargoyles, though none resemble the NYC clan members. They do have one commonality, though. They're all wounded, some severely. Katherine is in the makeshift infirmary, tending to the injured. She is aged, but still lovely. She dashes up to greet Tom, then welcomes Goliath warmly. No more complaints about beasts in the Great Hall. And Elisa's back there while Tom and Kat are hugging. Elisa, why do you look like a rogue who's contemplating lifting the crown jewels? Side note, last time I watched this triptych before the latest rewatch, I fell asleep after the first 4 minutes. I didn't bother to rewatch when I woke up, but after this review, I have more appreciation for the trilogy. A little ways off, Magus looks down, sadness and guilt in his face. Wow, that's a powerful scene. What if he hadn't lost his temper and sought revenge on the clan by turning them to stone? Could the gargoyles and humans have made a better go of it somewhere else? Would any of this have happened? Impossible to say, but it's got to be what Magus is wondering. Sad Magus is sad, making me sad too. However, he should be feeling surprise and relief too. Surely he never expected the castle to rise above the clouds and break the spell. He must think another spell awakened them. All this time he probably thought he doomed the clan to a waking death, like Sleeping Beauty or Han Solo. Or should I say living death? Now he can rest easy, knowing they're alive and well. Assuming they all survive this. Another reason for his expression seems to be Katherine hugging Tom and praising him. I don't think it's that Magus is jealous. Tom is like Kat's kid. No, I think it's that Tom's success makes Magus feel even more impotent and useless. He was once a great mage, but now all he can do is help put band-aids on. At least Tom could go get help. Katherine is thrilled to see Goliath. She didn't have anything to do with the spell that petrified him, so she can happily welcome him in and begin explaining the situation. Yeah, but she did have something to do with making Demona so pissed off that she would betray the clan. Anyhow, Avalon was deserted except for the sleeping king when they all rolled up. Everything was peachy until a few hours ago, when a gray-bearded guy in Demona blasted holes in the wall. Magus says the weapons were magic. And he looks good in his old age, and most Gargoyles characters do, actually. I am, of course, excluding Renard. Goliath and Elisa realize Demona, Macbeth, and the Weird Sisters are on the attack. Throw the Archmage in, and you're in a heap of trouble. On another part of the island, twin Archmages are watching all this through a scrying pool. Yes, I said twin. They look way more classy than the mad old man who died in the cave in 984. Each has a phoenix gate on his chest, the Eye of Odin on his brow, and really stylish robes. Because, one Archmage wasn't bad enough. And one of them is lounging on a couch. One leaves in the gate's fiery orb after the other asks if he knows what to do. I watched you do it, is the answer. Huh? Oh wait, the gate. Yeah. This is going to be a time travel episode like Vows. Yes, I love me some good time travel. I also love the Gargoyles verse rules. You can't change the future because the past is already written. If you do something in the past to change the future, and by the future I actually mean the present, it will only ensure the future/present happens because the present you were living in came out because you took that action in the past. So no squished butterfly problems. Got it? And there he is leaving. Where we're going, we don't need roads. We will need a skiff, though. According to Greg, the plan that the Archmage has comes from the time stream, just as Xanatos' scheme with the coins. It has to, really, since the gate must be in play for any of the plan's parts to function. So there are little rings, so to speak, in the timeline, where a chicken or egg scenario develops. For example, Xanatos wouldn't have been able to set up the plan to go back in time if he hadn't already gone back in time to set up the plan by sending himself a letter to tell himself about the idea. Whew. Thus, there was no single point in time where the idea originated. It was essentially built into the timeline already. If you've ever read Dragonlance, like a lot of the books, like not just a few of them, you will encounter some time travel. They have an interesting system where certain marks or events, deeds, have to be done during the timeline, but it doesn't matter who does them. It's kind of like cogs in a wheel. Just so long as they meet mostly, it'll turn. So as long as, objective A is reached, that's fine as far as the timeline is concerned. I was chatting with storyteller Wes, and he's the one with the other review blog for Gargoyles, and he theorizes that perhaps Puck has something to do with how the timeline plays out, and that's how Xanatos' scheme was accomplished. But it's not like canon or anything, it's just an interesting little idea that he had something to do with it. Some sort of direction, intelligence guiding this whole thing. The Archmage travels to 984 and snags his younger, angrier self from midair. The one he took after he tried the stalagmite, Demona, and Goliath to death. The Archmage has matured mentally and emotionally since then. He tells his younger self to show some dignity. Hey, it's not every day you get to save yourself dramatically. He's holding him up with an energy beam. He takes young Archie over the sea and summons a boat before Archie can freak out too much. Archmage then schools Archie on being chill while they wait for Magus and the others to meet the Weird Sisters. Oh, they're in 995, by the way. Archie wants the Grimoire now, but his older, wiser self knows that the book has a role to play through history, so you can't just grab it now. Does it ever have a role? Not where but when, says the Archmage. That's a lot like what Xanatos said. Archmage asks Archie what he wants. Well, ultimate power, as well as revenge. Not too original, mate. Pro tip, the revenge thing is not a good idea, because you're in Gargoyles, not the Punisher. The writer gods of this series don't look kindly on taking vengeance upon thy enemies. Archie will need allies, weapons, minions, and an HQ. It's like the Archmage is doing a crash course on Villainy 101. Side note, the Archmage is the second character thus far who's spoken directly to their younger self. The other is Demona. Goliath saw his younger self, but they didn't interact. The mage's efforts were phenomenally successful compared to Demona's. Why? Because he knew the rules, and the time stream had deigned to allow him the shuffle. They both threatened their younger selves, though. I guess I would too. If I met my younger self, a good slap upside the head would be called for. Halftime. At last, we're focusing on the villains. I find myself really appreciating Greg and his writing team's skills during this triptych. Not only did they lay the foundation for all this back in Season 1, they also strengthened the previous episodes. I love it when writers layer events. They make you think you know what's going on, then they pull the camera back a little and you see the whole other scheme is going on. It's almost like starting in media res, but like on steroids. It'll be interesting to see how the Weird Sisters Mac and Demona come into play. Come back next time and see why the Archmage and the Weird Sisters are working together, as well as Goliath's plan for stopping their assault on Avalon. So, what do you think about this half? What do you think about Archie and the Archmage? Do you like them? Do you like the time travel episodes? Well, you can comment here, you can comment on the blog. Remember to like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.